Say I do with Hawaiian flowers and foliage. Hawaii is a paradise known for its natural beauty, gentle climate, and friendly people. It is a favorite destination for weddings. Flowers and plants grown in Hawaii evoke love and romance. With many varieties available, every wedding can be unique. Tropical flowers and plants thrive in the lush low elevations, while the cooler high elevations are perfect for temperate varieties. There are orchids, proteas, anthuriums, tropicals, foliage, blooming plants, interior scape plants, and more. In 2020, the Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association presented a webinar to showcase the flowers and plants grown in Hawaii and how to use them in wedding celebrations. Hitomi Gilliam, AIFD, and 8 other floral designers shared their talents and tips along with growers and designers from each of the main Hawaiian islands.
Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association, or HFNA for short, had the foresight to explore the expanse of possibility to use Hawaiian tropicals in a new way, to popularize it with a softer romantic mix in combination with the temperates to create tropical nouveau blend. This look is becoming increasingly popular, with brides especially coming to get married in Hawaii. Through the annual Wedding Celebration Conference, they have created an excitement for the use of island-grown tropicals in beautiful wedding work.
This is product all grown in Hawaii. There is no reason to bring in product from anywhere else. All grown in Hawaii, may come from different islands, but this is like a tropical bouquet to me, and yet it also still has that bohemian look. We have a terracotta anthurium, which is a nice small size for the bridal bouquet, grown here on the Big Island. And on this side, I have a beautiful clarinervium leaf, which is an anthurium leaf. And let me show you that. Look at how stunning this is. So I have a clarinervium leaf, beautiful tropical foliage tucked here, which puts up a nice backdrop to this beautiful fuchsia against the terracotta. And this terracotta anthurium plays off beautifully with the local sedge. And the phalaenopsis, also grown locally. Look at how that plays with this beautiful dahlia, which has like a creamy yellow center. And we have some bougainvillea. The bougainvillea was soaked for about 3 hours until it got turgid. And I have some moa fern right tucked in here. We have on this side a new introduction, anthurium. It hasn't been named yet. It's a UH 2071. And this would be considered a medium size. So here we have the small size anthurium, and here we have a medium size. And it's very, very important to know the sizes. So we have some low elevation cymbidiums here, this gold one. Here we have the Calathea ornata. We have some of the copper color hanging amaranthus. We have some kangaroo paw, which is like I would say kangaroo paw fern would be like a Lawai fern. that is smaller size leaf, shiny, beautiful size. Look at how cute that is. Okay, and then we have some asparagus, spring awry. This is young, so it doesn't have the thorns yet. This is our trailing jasmine. And if you notice, the bouquet is going in and out with multiple levels. I think it's softer, and this will allow that when the bride walks or when the breeze blows, we're gonna have some movement. And that is, you know, really, really, I think when you see videos and you see that come across, it's really, it adds to it. You know, it may seem like it's nothing, but in those videos that you save for years to look at later, and you come down walking, the bride's walking down, and you go, that looks great. You know, many brides often will write back, and it's like, they're like all the wedding that they dreamed of, the flowers they wanted, and all of that. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? The sword fern. We have what is called curly lawai, and that's this one here. And you want to kind of keep that towards the center of the bouquet because it's very easy for the midrib to snap. So if I put it here, a lot of times it may snap. Then all of a sudden you have the bride walking down the aisle and you got this leaf sticking straight down. So the selection and where each flower was placed is also in the thought process. So someone asked here what this vine is, and it's called Love in a Puff. And the seeds from inside the pod is black or dark brownish black, and it actually has a heart shape in it. And I love the color. It just makes this design pop on this side, and wait until she walks down the aisle and you see this thing going like this. You know, that's the beauty of a bouquet that moves with the bride, breathes with the bride, and what we're trying to do. Thank you. And thank you, HFNA, for having me here.
This is going to be a hairpiece for the bride. I put this together for right now in 2 pieces. These flowers are all your tropicals. They'll all take water. This is pikaki, jasmine, a very delicate flower. You want to never spray this with water. You spray it with water, the next day it'll smell like cabbage. Very unattractive. So I'm going to finish up adding on the last flowers here, and then I'll add this on top, and then I'll call my model volunteer. I believe this one is called Anui Nui, which means rainbow. Beautiful other version of an anthurium. These are all natural. I love the pink veining. Now I'm doing this glue dashes, and I'll put one higher on the flower because I want it to stay for sure. And I'll put one along the stem because I want that secure also. So I have one up here and one on the stem. And I'm also going to add on a phalaenopsis in the same way. And I make sure that I put the glue strip on the phalaenopsis up high because it's very fragile and I don't want it getting torn off. When they're anchoring this hairpiece with bobby pins later, when they're all dressed. And I put one on the stem also. before I stick this flower on, I did a wire frame, and it comes all the way across. Then I webbed it with bind wire, silver bind wire. So I left a couple of knuckles here so bobby pins could be inserted to secure this. And there's another one up here that's covered by fern. We don't want anybody to see our mechanics. I covered it with some umbrella fern because I used it up here also. And for my foliage here, I took one of the long, narrow calathea leaves and started it as a point. And then I cut the rest of them into wedges. Looks like maybe it grew like that. Okay, so that completes that side of it. This way and this way. So I'll prepare this. Okay. And now to finish off, you can bend it to stay, and then your beautician can pin it.
I'm going to show you a few things today. We're working on weddings, and we're working on personal flowers. We're going to be showing some earrings. You can see I put it on a little gold earring clasp. So just like that, and touches like that can make wearable jewelry really fun in the floral realm. I even put a little tiny gem in it to sort of catch the light. But this is the base I started with. And this was found at our local just craft store here in Hawaii, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and do the design. I'm using some floral glue. And a lot of, you know, body jewelry for floral wear is used with this cold glue, and I was very skeptical. I'm a hot glue girl myself, but I've converted to cold glue. And I've got this beautiful white gomphrena that's grown locally on the Big Islands. And I'm gonna put that in, and it's just kind of going right into that cup. And I'm looking back, and that one's a little bigger, so I'm going to push it in just a little bit so that they're similar sized. And I'm going to go and push that other one in there. So I've got these gompphrenas. So we're doing right there. And next, what I've got, so I'm looking at this one down here, and I've got these tiny little Achillea flowers. Yarrow is also what it's called. And I'm gonna tuck them in there and see how I feel. I think I'll need a little bit more. And I'm just gonna cut the tiniest bit, which is a little hard to do one-handed, and I'm gonna push them in right in there. And you wanna hold it a little bit, just hold it a second, make sure the glue dries. And I've got these beautiful little straw flowers, so I'm gonna cut them. Again, tiny, tiny. This is kind of precision floral work. Oh, and I'm gonna just dip that into the glue. So I got a little piece, and I'm gonna slide it in there. And actually, I think push it a little bit. There we go. So you can see, let's make sure we're not gluing anything else together. There we go. You can see it's pretty fast design once you get the actual mechanics and the basis done. For the mechanics, I used the gold wire and I hooked it. There's actually, when you get into doing jewelry, you can buy the little loops and take them apart and actually do it more proper, but I am going to add next a pikake. Pikake is a Hawaiian jasmine, and their fragrance is beautiful, just like the jasmine flower. And I'm gonna cut a piece, and this one, the stem's pretty soft, so I'm just gonna dab a little glue and pull back what I've already glued because I want it tucked in. The reason I didn't do it first is because I did that for the last one, and I think it needs to be shorter. I did that for the last one, I did the pikake first, and it ended up getting a little bruised, so I'll probably have to replace that. So again, a little glue. And this pikake is a little open. If you have the pikake bud, that would work also. And it's great because you'll still have some fragrance. It's not going to take a ton of pikake. So a lot of the beautiful tropical flowers we use, you know, for doing little floral jewelry, sometimes they're big, but if you deconstruct them and use them in a deconstruction manner, just the single pikake, or, you know, if you have a beautiful orchid, I'll show you. You know, you take it apart like this right here, the little, we call it a tongue. You know, that would be gorgeous as a bit of an earring. So really, when you start doing more floral jewelry, you want to start looking at all the intricacies of flowers and, you know, really seeing, can you do something with the little petals? And orchids have so many interesting parts that they're really fabulous for that. Another thing I love using are the crown flowers. You can do so much with them. So again, for floral jewelry, you know, even just having this earring, super cute, fun, royal. And that's our first pair of little floral earrings.
What I'm going to show you is something sort of new that's happening in Hawaii that's becoming very trendy is lace in multiple layers. And what I did was I made one for a groom, and how I did this, so what I did was I had crown flower, I had stephanotis, I had bozo. So you'll see this lay here has from the biggest bozo down to the smallest because I wanted to tear off. I also have the string here, but I left it because I wanted to play with the length. But what I'll do is I'll tie it off right now. And I usually tie it in about 3-4 knots. So that way it's big enough so the flower doesn't come out. Sometimes what I do also is if it's a bigger flower, say like the stephanotis that I have here, I attach another flower at the end so that when the flower falls, it doesn't slip out of the string. So this is basically a single stephanotis, and then it has where we cut the stem of the stephanotis so that it's sewn a little bit closer. So it gives it a different effect when you have on the lei. This one is, I had a lot of fun making this. And what I did, this is actually from one flower, one type of flower, which is the crown flower. And so you'll have the little flower here and you'll have petals in the back. So this part here is made just from the petals from the back. And what I did was I got the double string and I sewed this part first. And what I do is I fold it in half. And then from there, what I do is I sew right in the center here. And I just go in. And what I do is I go into a twisting motion. So it's not where you're stacking the petals, you're actually making them come around. So I'm going in clockwise motion, and I'm inserting them and I'm twisting them around. Then when I got to the point where I wanted to stop, I split the string, separated, and then I sewed individual lays. So this is my next layer. Now to finish off my lay, what I want to do here is I wanted to, instead of having just the lace coming straight down, I wanted to have something come across. So, because it's the season right now, I got this beautiful peacocky lei. And what I'm gonna do with this is, just like how I did the double here, so that way it just gives something interesting. So I'm gonna select where I want it to land or where I want it to have it. So I want it to have it midway. So I'm going to attach it to one of the lays here. Okay, so from here, when I present the lei, you have your multi-layers, just like that. So from here, you can actually finish off the bottom depending on how tall he is, how short he is. You know, you can tie it off, take some flowers off if you want it short, if you want it longer, that's up to you.
Tropical Nouveau is definitely resonating. This is especially most important for destination weddings in Hawaii. As recent as 3 or 4 years ago, the destination brides were still asking for mainland style. Everything imported into Hawaii, hydrangeas, roses, ranunculus, etc. It was always odd to see mainland look for a wedding in Hawaii. The island look is so much more authentic. Hawaiian flowers give the wedding a sense of place. That is so important. Also, it addresses the import replacement issue, plus using local flowers helps the island economy. The first example is just pretty Tropical Nouveau bouquet. As you can see, it is done in a hand-tied style. Basically, if you look at this, you know, I've done the covering of mechanics really well, but inside of that is actually the Syndicate Holly Chapel pillow, so that I can actually get some of the dimension done first with some of the greenery and some of the fillers, and then I fill in with some of the bigger flower, and then I actually put in the anthurium about midway, the combination of different varieties. You know, we have some of the obake varieties on the back side because it just makes it so very intricate and exciting for the bride to be looking down at that, and combination of the Toyama peach, the Maui bride, all of that, so that we have maybe 3 or 4 different varieties of anthuriums in here. But when they're mixed in with the temperates, it softens it because we're of course using the softer pastel shades of the anthurium, which then segues beautifully to the pastel shades of the temperates. And that combination is very soft. And of course the overlay with the greenery, I chose to go with the fluffy fern, which is so delicate and beautiful with all those almost tenderly like points. I mean, it has that kind of a visual movement. Also, I used the maidenhair fern. And by the way, the maidenhair fern were cut and cauterized with the oasis glue and then kept moist in the hydration chamber, and then they're just simply glued into this bouquet. It's been sealed, it's been hydrated, and so in many ways it's no different than if it were in water and then you take it out the whole bouquet out of the water. I think this actually has a better holding quality because it's been cauterized. So some of those delicate material, I used it that way, and that gives you this very lush, almost like under the in the jungle floor, seeing all these treasures, seeing all the intricacies of the beauty of some of these textural material. So the last arrangement was sort of the real gardeny, very lively style. The next one is going to be actually gardeny as well, but it has a little bit of an interesting shape to it. It has a little bit more wild and abandoned kind of a style to it. You can see that, you know, with the inclusion of the vines and the sort of the transparency that's been created in the design, that it's not all of the stems are, or all of the mass is filled. There's a lot of transparency, there's a lot of airiness to it. So the color palette is a little different, but it's also a very rich color, because you can see with the dahlias, these are harvested from the garden here, tying in beautifully with the Anthurium regina, which is such a beautiful variety. It's an amnicola, which is sort of the tulip anthurium, and it's just a little bit sleeker, has a very beautiful linear flow, and also the richness of the color of the spadix, which almost looks almost black. It's that deep purple. This particular one, I'm gonna have to lift it high so that you can see the whole breadth of this, but you can see that the cascade is basically flowing straight down from the side of, like, if I'm holding it, I'm holding it straight up and down the handle, and the cascade falls forward and downward. And so the length, the magnificent length of some of these Oncidium that are available from Hawaii, it just gives it that real spectacular look. And having so much of that, the stem of the flower showing off the beauty of the flowers. And it has that natural curvilinearness. We talk about this, the shape of curvilinearity, how important that is today. Gives you that graceful flow, that it has a playful movement. It's just absolutely magnificent. Neotropica Hawaii Flower Guide was first published in 2009 and reprinted in 2017. It gave florists an opportunity to see 800 plus horticultural items that are both grown and available from the islands of Hawaii. It is the most definitive guide for tropical products from Hawaii to the world. The guide has helped us reintroduce tropical flowers into today's marketplace. Enter Phalaenopsis orchid plants, which became very popular. Also, enter cut dendrobiums and mukara orchids. These soft tropicals found a place within the temperate mix. Introducing green Midori, whites and pinks, and peach, and of course, all the pastels. With these soft colors available in abundance, we have been showing the beautiful possibilities of tropical nouveau blending. I've been encouraging the use of tropicals with temperates, because they are absolutely gorgeous in wedding work. The new young generation has totally bought into the adventure. The freedom to mix makes a statement. I think it's cool.
Now the bouquet I want to create for you today is actually quite simple in its look. And the first thing I've done is cut out my desired shape, and now I'm going to cut out a smallish hole for the flowers in the middle to be threaded through. Now what I've done is wired and taped together some florist wires. This is 20 gauge, and I'm going to create a handle. So making sure that the striations are going vertically, I'm now going to thread these wires through and simply bend it towards to make a handle. And now we simply tie those together and we have a handle. Now the finished design I have covered in foliage. I started out with the back with some foraged magnolia leaves, and the front we had some beautiful calathea leaves. And just to give it interest, I've used an alocasia leaf backwards. Before I start designing with flowers, I want to add a little bit of interest and structure with this forged branch to give a nod to our Pacific Northwest landscape. As you can see, I've wired and taped all of my blooms so that they can be easily manipulated in the positioning of choice. Now see, because I've wired the stems, once I insert, I can easily manipulate it. I want this going down. I love that we can layer in this bouquet and keep it feeling light in contrast to the base. The base is quite heavy, but it acts as the backdrop to our stage for our performers. Okay, a few more stems here, and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Welcome to the island of Kauai. We're so pleased to share with you our aloha with tropical flowers from the Garden Island. I would like to give you a brief description of the beautiful tropical flowers that were donated by our farmers here on Kauai. We have this beautiful Xanthovillosa heliconia, orange and yellow heliconias, sprays of orchids, beautiful Cattleya orchids that only bloom once a year, bird of paradise, calathea, bromeliad flowers above me, Xanthivillosas again, and then coming straight across down on this side we have more Heliconia orthotrichas and beehives and white ginger, red gingers, pink gingers, calatheas, all kinds of goodies. And then over here we have some more anthuriums, guadalupes, white gingers, pink anthuriums, red anthuriums, some tea leaf tops, and also this is called a kiss of death for your information, and some more pendant types of heliconias, just to brighten up your day and say it with tropical flowers. The next commodity that I would like to show is this beautiful gift basket here with the Phalaenopsis orchids. These are all living plants, and there are bromeliads, and this is a type of a fern with the bromeliads and the Phalaenopsis in this gift basket. Okay? May our Kauai flowers just feed your soul and keep you happy and safe. So aloha from the Garden Island of Kauai. Mahalo.
Now more than ever, as destination travel is limited, we need to bring Hawaii to our customers. The chance to evoke the notion of being on a holiday and transport your bride and groom and their guests to the tropics right in their own backyard, perhaps at a small gathering or a wee wedding, is an outstanding opportunity for florists across Canada. The bridal bouquet I will be designing is in the blush and peach analogous color palette, a hand-tied bouquet using gathered branches and vines, combining the lush exotic Hawaiian-grown flowers with some of the wildflower temperate blooms commonly grown on the Saskatchewan prairies. Check out these stunning Hawaiian-grown Guzmania and anthuriums, Maui Bride and Nue Nue and Toyama, that will be the focal point of this bouquet. And of course, some Hawaiian-grown greens, Curly Luai, Monstera, and Calthea. Man, just incorporating these together with zinnia and astilbe. So before we delve into the design, I want to show you this mason jar ring structure, and just take that mason jar ring and attach it to that main structure just with a little bit of bind wire. Always make sure that you have really good mechanics, twisting the bind wire around and interlocking it into the rest of the piece. Around to the main one, and make sure you're tying it off, looping it through the rest of the structure in a couple different binding points. So here's our finished piece. Here's our finished bridal bouquet with all the elements that we've incorporated, including the beautiful Hawaiian tropical anthuriums and our local Canadian grown and Saskatchewan prairie type flowers to create that prairie vibe. Lots of textural elements, lots of color graduation through that analogous color palette. To finish off the bouquet, simply bound with ribbon, tied off, and a beautiful trail of ribbon as the bride walks down the aisle that's blowing in the Saskatchewan wind and creates that finished prairie feel that's a tropical mix of temperates and tropical flowers for your bride.
Aloha, my name's Carver Wilson and I'm the HFNA director for Maui. And we're here on our farm today to celebrate weddings. And I'm here with my friend Lois Hiranaga. She's one of the best designers on Maui. We welcome you to our farm.
Thank you, Carver. It's my pleasure to be here.
We're going to talk about weddings today, right?
Right, here we go.
We're going to start off here by this great pillars that we set up to make a wonderful place to have the wedding. They're starting.
We have the King Protea here. And the candlelight pins. And these are the two things that are predominantly blooming here. Can you tell us a little bit about the seasons so people around the world can have an idea of when they can get flowers here?
Right. Our King Protea as the dominant feature are one of the, just starting in the harvest season. Mostly they bloom in November through May, or November through April really rather. But we do have a starting crop, as well as the pincushions, which are the candlelight varieties. Each pincushion has a different time that they bloom, and the candlelights are one of the very first ones that kind of bring it in the fall season.
We have the pink Eileen McDonald ginger.
Yeah, this is the Eileen McDonald that grows in Hana. That's
right.
Yes. We have 4 different kinds. Well, actually more than that, but we have red, pink, and then we have Kimi pink, is a softer pink, a larger flower. We also have Tomi, which is towards a raspberry, and we have Jungle Kings, which are deep red and a larger head as well. And we also have some white ones too.
Oh, those are my favorite too.
Oh. Tell us about the foliage too.
The foliage, okay. So as far as the foliage, I sparingly set up the design. So we have like a sketch. And then the flowers went in. The foliage, we based it with acerola, which is Serenum cherry, because it was readily available. But for the wispy, we wanted this wispy. This is really important in our sketch.
That's right.
The pepperberry was selected intentionally because it has the arc.
And it's flexible.
Yeah.
As you can see, I like to design in clear glass. I like using it just because it's readily available, it's cost effective, and I have the option of not using foam. To keep the equisetum nice and straight and give support, I've inserted the 18 gauge wire up the stem of the equisetum. The dowels have been cut and attached to the glass with some Yugu dashes. I've also done the same with the equisetum. And they've all been inserted into double rubber bands. That just keeps everything in place until we're ready, until we finish with the raffia at the end. I like to use challah as part of the mechanics, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert it in here because it adds that beautiful green and yellow that I'm looking for in the centerpiece, and I'm just going to gently bend it in, and that'll just stay there just like that. And then I'm going to grab some of these beautiful Oncidium orchids. They're gorgeous. Nice and full and great stem length on there. Perfect for creating centerpieces. Let's grab one out of here. Now how about, let's get this beautiful anthurium in there. Look at it, gorgeous. I'm just gonna add this to the front. Curly Luai is so pretty too. Another added texture. And I'm just gonna add that in there. Let's just start, turn it around, just show you just the start of it. And we've got more flowering to do. Design is now completed with all the gorgeous flowers from Hawaii in the cylinder. I've covered up my mechanics of the rubber bands with a little bit of raffia just to tie everything together. Now it's nice and neat. The water is exposed, you can see it's nice and clean, and it's a great way to use your cylinders. Cost effective and a great way to showcase the flowers. Opening a box of Hawaiian flowers is like opening presents on Christmas morning. I'm excited by the colors, textures, and varieties. Each flower makes a statement. Tropical flowers are an amazing addition to our wedding repertoire. I get excited for the bride that come into the shop looking for something unique that complements her style. She wants modern and dramatic. Hawaiian flowers easily fit the bill.
Now, to give you some background information on local customs here in the islands, one of the foremost is lei giving. A lei represents love. It is created by someone and given to another person with the intent to decorate that person for an emotional reason. Common reasons include greetings, farewell, affection or love, friendship, appreciation, congratulations, and recognition.
Because we have access to a lot of the leis here, we try to use them in some of our decor, our wedding decor. And what I'd like to show you is I have an art chair that's already set up, and it has the material drape and everything. And and I like it where you can use different types of leis all together because it doesn't look all the same unless you want it the same, correct? Because we have some people that actually want it the same type of leis, or if they want it all floral or fragrant. Some people might be allergic to the fragrance, so you have this beautiful orchids, right?
Beautiful. So here we have a few local selections here on Oahu. First off, we have the Kukuna Okala, means rays of the sun in Hawaiian. We have the sea grape. We have the cigar lei. Hawaiian name is Kika. These leis are really good for men because they're more on the masculine side. As you go down, you have the pikake, known as jasmine. You got the orchids, and then you have your pink lokelani rose, as well as your Tahitian-style ginger.
I am actually going to create my structure of my bouquet with Bo Derek hair. Basically, this is the stem. I kind of just cut them all off and created circles with them. So basically, you just kind of do a full circle around, create a full circle. Then you add, I'm going to use waxed olive green wax tape wire, 22 gauge. And I'm just going to bind it twice on each strand. Pile them all up together, and then you basically start attaching them together. And I've done a little bit of work beforehand. And so basically I'm gonna create a cascading bouquet, and basically so that all the circles connected together. Actually, I think I'm going to add some of these purple anthurium. And I love these fiddleheads. Now I'm going to add some of these wavy, just to hold, just to give me like a collar around the bouquet, and actually kind of push the Bo Derek structure, give it extra support. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some, I'm going to bring in the phalaenopsis all the way down by just gluing it onto the Bo Derek hair. So I'm going to use some of the floral adhesive, the Oasis. I don't want to take away, I don't want to use too many so that it just takes away from the actual structure of the bouquet. Voila. This is my cascading bouquet, created with a tropical nouveau style with Balderic hair, dahlias, phalaenopsis, and various other flowers, and anthurium. Thank you very much.
Aloha, I'm Gordon Inouye, the Big Island Director of the Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association. Our association represents over 300 members across the entire state of Hawaii. First of all, the state of Hawaii consists of 8 major islands. The island of Hawaii, called the Big Island, is the largest of the islands and comprises about 66% of the total landmass of the entire state. In addition to being the largest landmass, the island also has 8 of the 13 major climate zones in the world, making it a haven for a wide range of ornamental crops. The vast majority of the farms are located on the eastern side of the Big Island, where abundant rainfall and rich volcanic soil make it a haven for growers. One of the major exports from Hawaii are potted foliage plants. The orchid industry is very large on the Big Island, and at one time the Big Island was called the Orchid Island. One of the major exports for crops from Hawaii is the anthurium flower, heliconia, and some ginger flowers. The Big Island also hosts a number of independent protea growers on the south slopes of Mauna Loa. In a newly developing arena, a number of island members growers have used a multitude of microclimates available to grow temperate flowers locally, enabling local designers to use fresher and hardier flowers in their designs instead of importing them from the mainland. This is your host, Gordon Inouye, saying aloha.
Want to talk a little bit about some table settings and my centerpiece option. I'm kind of going for a modern meets like old Hawaii feel, you know, vintage. And so we have this candelabra that we kind of changed the shape a little. We actually have a vase inside of here. And we're going to be setting this in a wooden box, and we're going to be overflowing that with fruit. We have lei. This is stephanotis, some beautiful stephanotis lei. We have some gorgeous lanternalima. We're gonna be draping some of these, you know, to really create a sense of old Hawaii. We have beautiful white dendrobium orchids, the new variety of yellow oncidiums. We have shogun heliconias, and these are super fun. They're fuzzy, and they're like neon bright. We also have tucked in some pincushion protea, and we'll probably be putting those featured on the chair. We want to put some chair decor. We have locally grown rudbeckia, and then several varieties of anthuriums. This is that newer one, Lanaka. We have this big, gorgeous white one next to this stunning white dahlia. And then mixed in the background here, I have Phoenix Rovellini palm seeds, and then as well as lilikoi vine and some soft local olive foliage. And tucked in also some really soft locally sourced eucalyptus and some cafe au lait dahlias. So we just want to make it really opulent and feeling of abundance that is so common here on the Big Island.
I am doing a table runner for a sweetheart table, and this is kind of my easy method of making a runner. What I do is I will take long vines and I lay down vine A, vine B, get a filler material like podocarpus to lift it up off the table a little bit. Then I wrap vine around it. Then I set up my color blocking. This is a variety of anthurium that's called an obake anthurium. And we got these beautiful dahlias, some lisianthus, phalaenopsis orchids. We're going to put some texture in with umbrella fern once we have the flowers in. We have these beautifully shaped calathea leaves. This is a Marian Seifert anthurium, the pink anthurium. This is limelight. Thank you, John. It has a beautiful pink edging and pink veining. So the runner will go off both sides, and I will have a centerpiece in the center of the table, utilizing the white kings, phalaenopsis orchids, some pink gingers, and as I say, we're going to be mixing in the temperates with the tropicals.
What we designed is an open circle, slightly asymmetric in that we're going to try to put the flowers in this section and taper off through this section. I'm going to kind of open this up so you can see where my cage is. So here's the cage. We've got 17 of those set up. So tea leaf over the universal cage, podocarpus, monstera. This is aloe fern. This is what it's supposed to look like. My brides will always say, we don't need a lot because the beauty of the islands, they want to capture that.
I had actually come up with a different concept where I was going to design something on an arch. But when I got to the park here, I saw this location here, which is under a banyan tree, and decided to change my design. So what I'm actually using today is I'll be using the hapu'u fern. I'll be adding some phalaenopsis. I also have some beautiful white torch ginger, some other white gingers, white dendrobiums, the rainbow, the obake anthuriums. I have white oshiros, the kawaii anthuriums, monstera, green heliconia, green ice, areca, and I also have some hokuloa and Maui bride. And so what we used here on our tree is we're going to be designing something with a lot of dendrobiums hanging, but I kind of mixed up the textures of the orchids. I did some crown flower lays and tuberose, and I kind of mixed it and sewed it together. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually hang it on a tree. We're going to do a swag onto this beautiful lush green arrangement, and hopefully that you'll like it by the time it's done.
As part of the webinar, attendees were taken on a virtual tour across Hawaii to see farms, nurseries, and a research facility.
So anybody who has a chance, come and smell these. These are called Vandas.
And there's your variegated ginger leaves. You guys seen these?
Wow, look at this.
Can you see this? Valorigera. It's a pendant heliconia.
In addition to our farm, we have a few interim growers, but we have about 50 independent farmers that produce orchids, foliage, birds of paradise, heliconia, ginger, etc. They're brought in, put on grading benches, so they're graded for quality and size. Then they're put into inventory there, and then they get put out over there in the form of orders.
New varieties are being developed not only for their beauty, but to improve longevity and durability. After the webinar, the Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association held a floral design competition. A call for entries was issued, and 100 people submitted designs. The People's Choice Award went to Dale Akoba of Waipahu, Hawaii. He receives a round-trip ticket from Honolulu to a West Coast destination. Third place went to Aki Ishiguro of Plano, Texas. She receives a tropical flower box once a quarter for a year. Second place went to Charlie Grappetti of Vilonia, Arkansas. He receives a tropical flower box once a month for a year. And the grand prize went to Vivian Liu of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. She receives a round-trip ticket from Vancouver to Hawaii, which also includes personal nursery tours on each of the 4 main islands, with accommodations and travel arrangements. The farms and nurseries that grow flowers and plants in Hawaii employ thousands of people. Along with processing, marketing, and distribution, the floriculture industry helps sustain the local economy. Buy Local, It Matters is a campaign by the Hawaii State Department of Agriculture to encourage purchasing products grown and made in Hawaii. Buying local also helps replace imports and in turn reduces the chance of accidentally importing harmful invasive species. To educate florists and consumers about the range of flowers and plants grown in Hawaii, the Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association has published a useful flower and plant guide containing over 800 photos. To receive a copy, just send a mailing address to Order Hawaii Neotropica Guide at gmail.com. The flowers and plants grown in Hawaii are perfect for weddings. Their variety, freshness, and quality are world-renowned. With a caring and kind spirit of aloha, the Hawaii Floriculture and Nursery Association thanks you for watching.